Welcome to James Hates Everything, the show where we talk about all things retro, modern retro, video games, toys, movies, all the fun stuff. And tonight we have a fun one. It's Pac-Man's birthday, and that's all I'm going to say about that. And we are going to jump into it just about right now. All right, as always, before we get into the heart of the goodness, I'm going to say hello to everybody that dropped by. So if you want to shout out, do it now or forever hold your peace. Just kidding. You can still chat. I'll shout you out later. Uh, the Be Me, thanks for dropping by. First and early. JJ's here. Stock Jock, Brooklyn Menace, the Cornercade. We have Israel Gaming. Always nice to see you. Billy Woods Mod catching us live. Steve Sale is here, end of the line. How are you doing? The Bad Guy, thanks for dropping by. Dr. Torque is here. And for anybody else who's lurking, looks like Joysticks is here. StreamYard has a new live chat feature, so I've got the chat up there. If it annoys you, let me know. I'll take it down. But for now, it's up there. So everybody, thanks for dropping by. Again, we've got a big show for you tonight. Lots of fun stuff. But before we get started, I posted a little earlier today. I asked the question, guess who's back? And it's not all that exciting, but it is interesting because it's Pac-Man's birthday. And there's one company around here in the home arcade parts that really, really loves their Pac-Man. And so, of course, you know, Arcade 1-Up is not going to be silent on Pac-Man's birthday. And Cyrus himself is back. So let's jump into this fun and interesting story, which it is not really, but nice to see you, Mike Hawkhurts and Show Gecko. But straight out of the gate, right, here's how Arcade 1-Up makes Pac-Man home arcade cabinets. So not much new here, but some fun stuff that maybe can get for a laugh. Of course, we'll just zoom by all this fluff at the beginning that talks about Pac-Man, May 22nd, a full 45 years after the first release, yada, yada, yada. Oddball experiences about Pac-Man. And of course, GameSpot here spoke with Cyrus Rosenberg, SVP of Licensing and Business Development at Arcade 1-Up, which has made a point of producing nostalgic, arcade-accurate scale cabinets of some of the most classic arcade games around, including Pac-Man. The company has produced multiple cabinets based on Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man, so we spoke with Rosenberg about working with Bandai Namco license to create cabinets that replicate the feeling plunking a quarter into an arcade machine in the corner of a pizza parlor. And so we'll just jump right down here and says, Cyrus, this is Cyrus talking. He says, sometimes they are readily available, of course, talking about the essence of how a game feels and obtaining arcade ROMs. So he says, sometimes they are readily available. However, we go through an individual QA process on all ROMs, on all different machines to make sure that they are arcade accurate. Sure, he said. And the way I personally, as a fan of our product, notice he's a fan of their product, not of arcade games, like to speak about it is it feels closer to what we're seeing in the modern video game remasters. As you remember, not how it was. And what I mean by that is we have fresh artwork. There's no broken controllers. It is essentially a brand new arcade machine, which you may remember, but actually compare it to what was in the original arcade, they may have been a little worn down from use. So he's calling these Arcade 1-Ups remasters because they're in their half-inch, MDF particle board. They're fun. They look nice. For the size of what they are. But seriously, a remaster, come on. We're lucky if you get the actual arcade ROM with all the stuff on these. He goes on to talk about three-quarter scale, and he says, very similar to our ROMs, we always start with the model of an original machine. Okay, so even when it comes, especially to Bandai Namco products, there were some games that require a four-way joystick and some that require an eight-way joystick. But we always make sure they are matched to what was in the original arcade when it comes to format. Pac-Man's screen, for example, is a vertical screen, and we made sure the selected games list of ROMs that would match both four-way control sticks as well as the vertical screen itself. So again, while many of arcades are about three-quarter scale, they do match the experience of an original arcade. I guess he forgets about Rolling Thunder and some of the other widescreen 4x3 games that are on the cab he so loves. It's almost comical. Yeah. I love that. Chris Ford. Uh the aspect ratio matters. These guys, these guys are absolutely hilarious. Oh my! Similarly, Arcade One Up uses original artwork and includes it in the new form factor. Rosenberg says the approach to authenticity as a guiding principle was the result of feedback fans wanted to see the same care and affection put into the cab and hardware as the software. So I think here, this is interesting, right? Because I think what he says here is somewhat true, right? They listened to the community and they finally gave us deluxe cabs. But what he leaves out in this next paragraph speaks volumes. He says, this is an example of fan feedback really directly influencing our company. In our original launch in 2018, we had a design that we called the shark fin just internally. Yes, that was internally, you guys called it that. And what that really was is a standard format size arcade across all different units. However, almost one of the very first pieces of feedback we got on our initial launch was that people wanted to match the original cabinet shape. Now, when it comes to the history of arcades at large, there are only a certain number of those shapes, so that there would be some crossover. We matched the design for both Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man as much as possible, so while size is not retained, the shape absolutely is one-to-one. Very, very, very interesting. So that's the big news, that Cyrus is back on the screen, or scene, if you can call that big news. It is pretty much not big news, but it is news just the same. Arcade One Up is out there. And speaking of Arcade One Up being out there, um, hat tip to Kevgret, who reported on this a couple weeks ago. But today, or tomorrow, one of the two, marks the launch of the Licensing Expo. And of course, Arcade One Up shared today that they are there today with bells on. Now, I'm not sure what they're there to talk about. Are they there to share their expertise on how to let licenses expire, to disappoint your licensor so they leave and go somewhere else? Are they there to try to get licenses? I'm super confused. I have no idea. But Arcade One Up is at the Licensing Expo. So let's hope they come out of it with some new licenses for actual arcade games and not more stickers for their claw machine. But all right, so we spent 5 or so minutes on the nonsense. See if you guys have anything else to say. They're a clown show, absolutely right. Yeah, totally a fluff piece. It was obviously timed to come out for Pac-Man. It was a promotional piece for Arcade One Up. They probably paid for it. Yeah, Meatball Saucy says he wants the liar gif. Hey, B Kirby, thanks for dropping by. Yes, so true, so true. It only took them 67 re-releases to get it right. Oh my God, so true. And Jason is here, fresh from his catching of the shrimp. Nice to see you. Of course, moderator extraordinaire. And let's see. Any other big comments? By the end of the expo, they will announce a licensing collaboration with Hasbro and Basic Fun. Well, you're not wrong. You're not wrong on the Hasbro part because I believe that was in their press release about being there. Zero Redux says you put a hat in that silhouette to trick us, didn't you? No, actually, Cyrus has a new hat and a new T-shirt. I don't know if you saw that, but yeah, there he is. He's a big fan, big fan. Uh, says they're in the line says they're there to get some sweet new fatigue mat license. Oh my god, so true. Glenn's retro show is in the house. Thanks for stopping by. And of course, Stupid Fat Hobbit says Arcade One Up will be at the expo. They will be in the vestibule area like a bunch of Girl Scouts. Will you buy our baby cades? Oh my, so true. So let's get into the main event. Well, the first main event. This is, I guess, Arcade Wrestling Mania today. So everybody knows that I love my action figures. And while I'm not a walk and talker like PD7, I do aspire to be. And one of my favorite toy lines, of course, is Superpowers. So color me shocked when I took a trip to Target the other day and came across these amazing action figures. And so I wanted to share this line with you guys because you probably haven't seen these. I think they are just hitting stores now. But before we do that, I got to throw on a disclaimer. So there's the disclaimer. So now we're going to jump over and take a look at the first of these figures. Right out of the gate is the new Superpowers Michael B. the Game Genie. Of course, classic figure. This is the first release, the number one in wave one of these, I guess, home arcade YouTuber action figures. Bad Guy says the scalpers bought them up already. They flew off the shelves. You cannot find these in stores. They are super hard to get. And of course, we have to admire the authenticity of giving us the Michael B from 2020 when he just started YouTube as that chipper young man. So that's the first one. But of course, when you do a line of home arcade Superpowers figures, the wave one has to be filled with some of the top dogs in the home arcade space. So next up, number two in the line is, of course, P-Dub's Arcade Loft. And I'm sure he would be frustrated that he's not number one. It just happened to fall that way. It's not a ranking. It's just the number of release. And so, of course, we have P-Dubs from the Super Game Room Dudes pictured in his patented Super Game Room Dude underoos. P-Dubs, Arcade Loft. You gotta love that. Dr. Torque says the Michael B figure has a pull string voice box that has 8 phrases complaining about the side art. Indeed, it does. So next up, of course, is our favorite Super Game Room Dude, Detroit Love. And of course, he is rocking that plaid or tablecloth, cape and underoos. So, of course, you got to have a Detroit Love figure in your Superpowers Arcade 1-Up Game Room collection. Dude, you made P-Dubs kind of plump. He's not going to be happy. Thanks, MG. Next up is Nostalgia. You need a Nostalgia because if you don't have a Nostalgia in your line, you just won't know what the value of these figures are. Of course, lots of value. Got the 5 points of articulation, the 2 shoulders, the 2 legs, the neck. You got to have a Nostalgia figure. And What toy line would not be complete? You can't have all heroes. You can't have all super game room dudes. You got to have some villains. And of course, you've got to have the biggest, the number one home arcade YouTuber in the YouTube atmosphere. You've got to have the Rexer Show. Of course, rocking that patented necklace and outfit. What an amazing set. So good. Wave one is stellar. You guys got to be on the lookout for this wave. It is a big one. You need to find it. Big B says, these are good. Did you use Chat GPT for them? So I did use a combination of like Sora and things like that. So let me bring up, we got to get wave two up here, right? We got to see the next one. And let's see here. Well, I guess it's hard to do this on the fly. Where do we go? There we go. All right. Number two, wave two. First in wave two is, of course, 19K Fox with his patented 19K Fox t shirt. And, you got to have this one. MG wants to see Papa Brad. And that's getting copy and pasted. He says, Thor KC says, I thought the Drama Llama was a League of Villains. All right, so there's the first one in wave two, 19K Fox. Of course, probably the handsomest looking figure of the bunch. But then, of course, you have Mr. Walkabout himself, the king of superpowers, PD7. He's not pouring coffee on himself to find out if it's hot today. He is just here being the super PD7 that we know he is. Fox needs a Trump sticker, MG says. And if you collect wave one and two figures, you can cut out the UPC labels and mail them in, James, to get a Kevgrat figure. Well, so that's PD7. Number two in wave two, ready and waiting to get his hot coffee. And of course, in this line is none other than your Kevgrat. You got to have a sidekick. Supervillains always need a sidekick. So you got to have your Kevgrat action figure here. Of course, breaking the Arcade 1-Up news like he does. Big fan of that company. And love to see this Kevgrat figure in the line. And next up is Filthy Bill from Bill's Retro Gaming Show. You got to have a Filthy Bill action figure. Of course, comes complete with his signature headphones, which if you guys did not see his video earlier this week, and of course not talking about his live stream yesterday, but his video earlier this week where he took you behind the scenes to check out how he came up with his intro. It is a classic. I highly recommend you watch it. So jump over there, check that out. It is a great one. And JJ asks, why Filthy Bill? Well, I'll let you ask Bill about why it's Filthy Bill. It has something to do with Walkabout and MG and a bunch of other people, but it is fun, and it's all good fun. We love Bill. He's anything but. And I saw PD7 in there. So just in case you missed your figure on the show, Phil, there it is, PD7. And last in this line is Moat, Mike of all trades. So you got to have a Moat figure if you're going to collect these. Moat is a must-have. Of course, there with his back alley 7-Eleven hat, patented. Love to see Moat in there. Great line. So let's jump into the next bunch. Got lots and lots of windows open. This is always fun trying to find the right thing. All right. First up in this bunch is the first member of Yo Retro, Chaotic BPR. There he is with his Pac-Man hat, all ready and waiting to celebrate. So there is Chaotic, all ready to rock his 4KP and, join in Yo Retro. Next up, of course, is the Cornercade. Ready and waiting with his patented red shoes, apparently. There is the Cornercade. What else can you say? But let's go. Got to get a Cornercade action figure. What you do with it is your own business. Then we got Joe Cade in the house. So here's your Joe Cade action figure. Newer home arcade YouTuber on the scene. And there he is, rocking it out, really killing it on his channel. Guys, check him out if you have not. Of course, Joe Cade with all his patented, hoodie and all that good stuff. Next up, Papa Brad's Gaming. Of course, you got to have a Papa Brad. You can't have the fastest growing home arcade channel not have a representation. So here is your Papa Brad figure. What wave are we on? Wave 3? Are we on wave 3? I think we're on wave 3. So catch your Papa Brad's Gaming action figure in wave 3. It is truly legit. And of course, the other half of Yo Retro, half a dozen. You can't have one without the other. If you're going to put on your little Yo Retro show and talk AtGames 4KP tables, you've got to have a half a dozen. Is that it? That's it for wave 3. Now we got to jump into wave 4. Thor says Papa Brad looks angry. It's legit. You can find the Cornercade in the clearance aisle. Let's see. Okay, what's the we gotta switch here. We gotta grab the next one. What wave are we on? Wave 4. We're getting through these. We're making good time. Okay. Oh, whoop, I gotta swap this again. I need a producer, so this is somebody else could be doing these fun things. So first up in wave 4 is none other than Shotgun Sean. One half, of course, our frequent guest host. They're basically every week. Shotgun Sean on Rascals Gaming Show. So I know you guys know all about Rascals Gaming Show. So if you don't, be sure to check them out. It's a great show every Tuesday night. They do a great community show. They do gaming streams where you can join in community gaming. They talk lots of fun stuff, everything from video games to 3D printing to pinball tables and all the good stuff. So definitely check those guys out. Says Shotgun Sean needs more tats. Indeed, indeed, indeed. It says Toys R Us thought this was real and decided to cancel their relaunch. You need half a dozen plastic area more foggy. Okay. Gamer Fridge likes these. Appreciate that. No tats. Yeah, I unfortunately, the tats did not come out on him all that well. So we see the first one in the line. Who's next? Of course, it's Brooklyn Menace. You got to have Brooklyn Menace in your toy line. And of course, here he is featured with his patented iconic logo. You got the devil hat, and of course, it's carried out the logo into the hoodie. Of course, the YouTube's greatest VR streamer, and honestly, a super cool action figure. It's for a super cool guy. And B. Kirby says, why do Michael B and P-Dubs look like they've been hitting the gym for years? And little Kev Grat looks like he gained 100 pounds. Come on now, James. Now, if I could control exactly how they looked, they would be more realistic. Unfortunately, when you're letting AI create some of these things, it does what it does. Um, I that's all I could say about that. It taking what pictures I had of people, AI extrapolated it the way they wanted it. Wait, no, no, CMG, not everybody can come in wave 1, right? So you gotta have people in there somewhere. This is, shouldn't Brooklyn have a scowl on his face? No. He looks like a child, it says. Well, that's what Brooklyn's, little character logo looks like, so, that's what the AI picked up and ran with, so come on. Uh Yes, you can, MG. Yes, you can. And I tried to make one of your little frog guy, but I could not find a good enough picture of your thing, of your character in the recliner. Because believe me, I wanted to make one of you, your frog VR guy. Okay, so next up in this line is Biggie D's Arcade. Of course, pictured here with his hair, his NBA jersey, all ready to go, boat and all. Biggie D's Arcade, part of Wave 4. So be on the lookout for Wave 4 and get your Biggie D action figure. And our first 4-pack, this is an exclusive, only available at Big Bad Toy Store, of course, is the Arcades Anonymous 5-pack of figures. You've got Nerd Lounge Master, Gamer Fridge, Galaga Guy 88, Stock Jock, and Multicade Matt. So be on the lookout for the 4-pack so that you can complete your entire Arcades Anonymous collection. You got to have this one. And it's the best value. You get 5 figures for the price of 6. What a great deal. What a great deal. And of course, in Wave 4 is the man himself, Glenn's Retro Show. You've got to have the Glenn's Retro Show. And I saw Gamer Fridge say, "Holy crap, where is GIJoel?" And unfortunately, we could not secure a fake license for GIJoel. It appears another toy brand has gobbled him up. May have some more info on that later, but unfortunately, we couldn't secure that license. Just too hard to get. I tried to go to the licensing expo and get with Cyrus to see what I got to do to get these licenses, and just they would not help a fella out. JJ say, "Oh, that's a good one. The 5-pack. Do you have to guess what characters are on Stock Jock's shirt?" You absolutely do. If you, in case you missed it, right? He's got his cartoon shirt on, even. So you got to get that. Of course, we can't skip over Glenn's action figure. Of course, also rocking the Pac-Man hat, the Game On hat, everything you need to complete your Build-A-Cade FU collection. Put this guy as the topper on top of your Build-A-Cade FU. It would look perfect. You've got to have your Glenn's Retro Show action figure. MG says 19K Fox Senior. It is, yeah, I honestly had the same thoughts as how much they have Glenn looking like 19K Fox in these. It is pretty amazing. So get out. Who knew that Glenn and Fox were secretly brothers? These toys will be at Ollie's in a week, and then at Big Lots. I don't know, man. These are hot off the presses. These are hot collector's items. You've got to get yours before they're all gone. Okay, that's it for Wave 4. So we're not done. We're not done. We've got more waves to go. Not many more. I think we only have one more wave to go, actually. And it's a smaller wave. It's you know, it just is what it is. Let's go here. Let's get this wave up here. And of course, this one comes with the peg warmer that is James Hates Everything. Of course, rocking that Showbiz Pizza Place shirt and his patented Pixel Game Squad hat. Uh, but there you go. There's the James Hates Everything. This is why it's wave 5, because I'm in it. It's all the way at the end. Uh, but there you go. Uh, not gonna spend too much time on this one. Sathia says, I want to get the Shrinky Dink collection. It's Stinky Pete. Yes. Yes. Heard that one before. Steve, where to go? Here we go. James is touching the plastic sides. Yeah, I'm squished in there. Are you the chase figure? Yeah, that's it. These are the chase figures. That we'll go with that. Next up is Steps Gaming. Of course, you got to have Steps in here. A staple in the home arcade space. You need to have Steps Gaming. Next up, these are the chase figures, as we're getting the real chase figures, the exclusives. Of course, you got to have Cyrus Rosenberg in his James Hates Everything t-shirt and make Arcade One Upgrade Again hat. You got to have them. You can't have a home arcade toy line without Cyrus Rosenberg. Like, he is home arcade. Without Cyrus, we wouldn't have the licenses for these great games that we need, that we want to play, right? He is home arcade. Next up, of course, if you have Cyrus, you've got to have a John D joint. This is, of course, the John D action figure, all decked out for CES, ready to show off his new products to everybody. You've got to have your John D Cyrus action figures. You can't have one without the other. You're going to have lots and hours of play as you take your two figures and you have them fight in the mosh pit. What more could you want? so there you go. That actually concludes. That's our last figure of the day. We get back to here. There we go. We're back. So that, oh, wait, that wasn't our last figure. I forgot. Somebody asked about GIJoel. And, I told you I could not get the license for GIJoel. And, but although I didn't get the license, I was able to get a leak of, from the company that did. And of course, they have a new line coming out. And it's very frustrating because I really like the line. And unfortunately, they just beat me to it. And I'm very saddened about this. But of course, we're talking about Hasbro and their GIJoel line of action figures. Of course, here, GIJoel has his O-ring figure complete with accessories, and of course, that classic retro card back. You can't go wrong with GIJoel, and I really wish we could have captured this license, but unfortunately, Hasbro beat us to it. Dane Bramage says, thank God there's no Dane Bramage figure yet. Billy Wood says, Chef's Kiss. Yes. Bad Guy says, haha, oh yeah, that's more like it for Joel. Yep, exactly. You can't do a GIJoel figure unless it is a GIJoel figure. So let me get back to the where we go here, the main camera angle. Let me turn this banner off. And like I said, guys, this was all just in totally good fun. I appreciate everybody that, I didn't ask permission. I just did, but it is a parody. I hope you enjoyed, if you were in there, you enjoyed what it is and you're not upset about it. If I missed you, and I know I missed a bunch of you because I was crunching to get these done as quickly as possible. I know there's people I missed, of course, and um, I'll probably add you later. Won't do a show about it or anything, but there's a few other people I'd like to definitely do. And if you want one, just shoot me an email. I'll try and do you up one as the time permits. It's fun. I'm thinking about doing a poster and just giving those away. Don't really know, but it depends on what I hear from people after doing this. I don't want a bunch of people all pissed off if I make a poster and give it away. I'm not trying to make money on them. But I think it was fun. They were, pretty cool what you could do with AI today. I got AA on the brain, apparently. Stock Jock says, James, and thanks for the $10 super chat. Just like thank you, B. Kirby. Stock Jock says, James, you need to take down the AA guys. You've already signed on with New Wave Toys. We are the next diorama guys. The set goes for $4.99. Well, I appreciate that, Stock Jock. Yeah, honestly, I've been wanting to do this for a while since we a long time ago joked about how cool it would be to excuse me, to have like 1/6 scale super game room dudes action figures to go with the New Wave Toys. Just thought it would be hilarious back then. And then of course, then New Wave Toys ended up making Ricky or whoever their own action figure. Still would be cool to see them do super game room dudes or Glenn or Shiloh himself. Any of those would be so fun to have to set up in your little New Wave Toys 1/6 scale arcade. Of course, Detroit Love, he already is rocking several figures and he's making great YouTube shorts and long form videos with them. If you guys have not seen those, he does some stop motion stuff. It's pretty creative, the stuff he's been doing. So definitely check out what Detroit Love is doing. I know they show some of it on Super Game Room Dudes, but he has a bunch of other ones. So go check them out. They're all really cool. Julio Hernandez says, I would definitely get a James Hates Everything Chase figure. It will say James loves everything. Miss your Saturday streams. Well, appreciate that, Julio. Uh, Steve says a poster will be hilarious. Yeah, we could do it like a collect 'em all poster, right? Like a big checklist like they used to do back in the day. Have that everybody on there. James, you need to have an AI create a 3D printable file. So we've already been talking about that, how cool it would be if we could get somebody to make these into STLs. Now, the AI that I've played with to create STL files, they get close. They're not great yet. They can get pretty good, but they're not great. I'd rather be able to take this to somebody that can really sculpt it in 3D based on the picture and then do real packaging and stuff for them. I think it would be so fun just to have them as dumb little things. But, you know, I'm sure that would cost a bunch of money to have somebody do it, but it'd still be fun just to do one or two of them that way. Says probably cheaper to buy generic, make figure bodies, and just 3D print the heads and accessories. That as well. Detroit Love looks like he's wearing a plaid garter belt. Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. The AI takes some liberty with some of the art, that's for sure. Okay, so next up, we've got to talk about, of course, the announcement made earlier this week. Unless you guys have been sleeping, GIJoel has announced a new product, or a coming product, I should say. What did I do here? Somehow I closed the window. Okay, so, well, that was dumb. Okay, so in case you haven't seen it, here is what he announced on Michael B. the Game Genie's live stream with Stock Jock on Monday. Of course, he has announced that he is working on putting together a Nintendo style deluxe cab. So again, not full scale. This is deluxe scale. So think of your arcade one up deluxe, 3/4 kind of scale, but no riser. Um, it is his own design, his own style, meant to mimic what the essence of a Nintendo style cab is. Of course, in this prototype that he put together, he's designed his to go with the Intech deck. He wants to make it a Play Choice 10, as he described. So he just has the Intech deck in there. He's got like kind of a retro style coin door, so it all fits. He mentioned options for the different speaker grills. So if you wanted a more authentic one speaker grill cover, you could. He also, you could see across the top here, um, these are little screens, LCD screens meant to mimic the authentic Play Choice 10 toppers that you could get out there. So pretty cool, pretty creative. Of course, a spot to slide in your marquee for whatever game you want. Now, the way he described it, this is not how it would ship. Ideally, he would skin it in one of 5 or 6 basic colors. It would not have the graphics. You'd have to get those somewhere else. Probably would not have a monitor. It would be set up so that you could put in any arcade one up monitor, or go to places like Buy Stuff Arcades and get a monitor. They of course sell 19-inch BOE monitors in existing and custom bezels, so you can get your favorite game. You'd have a spot for the plexi, so if you wanted to do like a Donkey Kong or a Popeye or something, you could put the artwork around that. Um, I don't know if he's decided about if it comes with guts or not. I would imagine he's probably leaning against that. Let you bring your own guts, meaning your own computer, just like your monitor, your own controls. But he did talk about maybe selling a few different control panels that you could put your controls in. So if you wanted to put GRS sticks and buttons in there, you could. If you wanted to do Sanwas, you could do that. Whatever. So it's very much a kit cab. It's a DIYer. It would probably have to be, um, separated here in order to flat pack it and ship it to you. I know I don't think he's come down on cost at all, so we don't really know what he's going to charge. So I'm kind of interested, if you guys are interested in this, put a 1 in the chat. If it's not something that interests you, put a 2 in the chat. And then if it does interest you, I'd also be interested in hearing, like, what would you pay for a kit like this? I, for one, have been begging anybody to just make kits like this. And of course, I prefer they were XLs, but myself, so a little bigger, but not necessarily full size. I'm not against full size. It's just I don't have a ton of room to get full size down my stairs. So, having a full size altogether is going to be very difficult for me. So that's why I like some of the smaller sizes, but I like the XLs because they're flat packed. I can get them down here. I can build them down here. And they're not so small that they're tiny. They're just kind of in the middle. But I know a lot of people, a lot of people love the deluxe sizes. Of course, I still have a ton of those. So I'm definitely interested in this. But I've wanted somebody just to go out there and make kits like this that are these deluxe sizes or XLs. Give us a Nintendo shape, give us a Namco shape, give us a Konami shape, give us an Atari shape, give us some of these shapes that are common, but just give us the kit, just give us the wood, maybe the hardware to put it together. But even then, I don't know that you need to do that. You just give instructions to go to Home Depot or whatever and get this hardware. But even if it comes with hardware, great. Just give us the kit. We can source the rest of the stuff, like a mini PC or Pi elsewhere. We can get the screens from people like Buy Stuff, the controls and things like that from Glenn and other people. So I've always thought the idea of a kit was good, especially when there's not really anybody making anything new. It's been 2 years since any of these companies have actually given us anything new. And we've got things coming. We got Glenn's Build-A-Cade FU coming. Hopefully that'll go up for pre-order soon. With all the tariffs, everything's kind of tossed up in the air. You've got Iconic Arcade coming out with stuff. You've got the pinball table from Wonderland. We supposedly have Basic Fun coming out with stuff, but all this stuff is kind of up in the air. We should get it. We don't know when. It may be delayed. And these kind of kits will allow us to keep building things and getting new things and adding those dream cabs to our arcade that are never going to be made, right? Are they ever going to make a Nintendo cab? Of course not. That's why Nintendo, like nobody's going to get a Nintendo license. And so I, for one, like the idea of a kit. Of course, price is a lot about it. It's uh, it's got to be somewhat affordable. It's not going to be. There's no way you can expect somebody doing custom kits like this in a small production to make them super cheap, right? You got to make a living, you got to live, you got to feed your family, your kids, pay for all that equipment, all the supplies, all those things. And so, you know, it needs to be a decent price. And if you think about it, if you think about where the price point is of some of the new stuff coming out, like, the Iconic Arcade was pre-sale 100 off at $699. So that was already $700, and now it's going to go up from there. I know Glenn is trying to get his full-size Build-A-Cade FU Multicade at around 1,000, which would be an excellent deal. But of course, on top of that, you're going to have the shipping. You're going to have, if you want to make that the Glintendo cab, you're going to pay for the inserts and all the other stuff, which will drive the cost up. But just like with Joel's here, you'd have to buy the inserts and everything else. Where Glenn's will have a monitor, it'll have the insides, have the controls, so you get a lot for that. Even a rotatable screen, right, for that round $1,000 price. So you get a lot there. So it's very interesting. I, for one, am excited about it. I think it'll be a huge success for Joel, and I can't wait to see what other ones he comes up with. And so I thought maybe we could this is just a very early prototype that he put together for himself, like very specifically the Play Choice 10. So I kind of thought, like, what would this look like if we decked one of these out in, some other Nintendo style cabs? And let's see here. So there's what it might look like if you throw a bunch of Popeye art on there. Of course, not authentic Popeye art by any means, but it's just to give you some idea of what Joel's cab would look like with the marquee, with the art, with that baby blue color on it. You can see that kind of pop off, how great that would look. Um, how about a punch out, right? You could turn that into a punch out. That would be super cool. I love punch out. Would love to have a punch out arcade. And so that's a great way to get the arcade punch out in your house. Uh, what if you did the Play Choice 10, right? You could have that classic Play Choice 10 with those NES carts on there loaded inside, so you can play the Play Choice 10. Of course, you've got Donkey Kong, you've got Donkey Kong Jr., Donkey Kong 3, you've got the Super Mario Versus, lots of options that you can go with all of these. And I think I'm with Billy Wood's mods. Really, the Popeye one is probably one I would do with this. That's a cab I've wanted for a while, and I would love to, get a Nintendo cab and convert it or set it up to be a Popeye. And so this is just a spitball. What could it be? What could it look like once you apply the right graphics, the right plexi, the right art all over this thing? You can make it your own and get that dream game in there. So very cool. I'm excited for Joel. I'm excited for what he's doing. I hope it's a huge success. Just like anybody that is the entrepreneur in me, I love when people take that risk. They put it all on the line to go start their own business, run their own things. They use their creativity. Joel's a maker, an engineer out here creating things from scratch, being inspired by what others are doing and have done in the past to do his own thing. He finds solutions to his problems, and then those are things that the rest of us are having problems with, and so you find things, whether it's his inline risers, like I man got an Akari control deck. I've been customizing this Akari Warriors cab forever. And the last piece I really needed was the control deck. And man, he was able to put one together for me, and it's perfect. It's awesome. And as soon as I have the art on there, I'm going to show it off. And it's thanks to guys like Glenn's Retro Show, Buy Stuff Arcades, who did the custom 19-inch vertical monitor for me with all the Arcari graphics, and GIJoel with that deck, and others with all the graphics. Like, it was the community that made that cab possible. It's truly all these different people that went out, started their own business, did their own thing, and made that possible. And I just can't say enough about these guys like Glenn and others that are willing to do that, to deliver us the products we want that companies can't or won't make. Um, and they risk it all, right? They lay it on the line. It takes a lot. It's a lot for somebody to go start their own business. You especially once you leave your job and stuff like that to go do it full time, it's a risk. You only have yourself. You put in long hours. You're working way more than 40 hours a week. You're doing all these things to make that happen. And, hats off to all of those guys that are doing this stuff, because they're amazing, and I can't support them enough and thank them enough, because they're making all of our home arcade dreams a reality. And B Kirby's here with a $20 super chat. Really appreciate that, man. You don't have to do that. I'm surprised this hasn't been done. No offense to Glenn, but you can buy two of these shells, Popeye and Donkey Kong, for the price of one's Glenn's, and this looks better. It's not as heavy or made in America. So what I'll say to that is, again, we don't know the price, so we don't know the price for sure. Glenn's price, again, it's a bigger full-size cab, so there's a huge market for that. A lot of people want that. I do as well. It comes with the rotating screen, the control decks. It's a complete arcade. You get that, you can start playing right away, right? And so there's a lot that goes into that $9.99 price. If you think about one of these kits, like let's say, I hesitate to even guess a price, but let's say the kit is $500. You then got to go buy the monitor. You got to get some controls in there. You got to get the marquee and art. Price is going to go up decently as you go. So it's not necessarily like it's going to be a value option. It's about what it is you want, what fits your style, your decor, and your goals. I don't think you're going to find some massive savings. It'll be great if you do. I hope he's able to get the price point down. But when you get these things that are made in small production runs, it costs money. It costs a lot of time, a lot of money. And when you're your own business, every time you make something, you have to look at what is the opportunity cost of doing this particular product. Like, if he spent his time, let's say you're GIJoel and you're looking at it and says, look, it takes me, and I'm just pure guess. No, I don't have any info, but let's say it takes him 9 hours to produce one cab, to have it all cut out, the time that the CNC is running, all that stuff, to produce all the parts. Then you got to box it up, ship it, and everything else. So you have opportunity costs. What else could he produce with his equipment in that same amount of time? And what is he giving up in order to make it? So then you have to say, well, let's say he could make 10 inline risers in that same time period. You probably could make more than that, but let's say it's 10, right? And depending on his profit, let's say he profits, I don't know what they cost off the top of my head, but let's say he profits 20 per, right? Or 20, 25 per. You're looking at then $250 in profit for that 9 hours. So then whatever it costs, materials, equipment costs, his time cost, when you go then put on the opportunity cost, you have to decide, well, I got to sell this thing to where it's either equal or slightly more than what I would got making the risers, which I could have sold anyway. So you got to do these calculations in order to make sure it's financially feasible for you, because you as a business owner have to make the products that are going to be most successful and beneficial for your business so you can continue to make them. And yes, there's some of this, I really want to do this. And so I'm willing to sacrifice here and there. But in the end, you have to do what's best for yourself and your business. And that means making some tough decisions. So we'll see what this costs. Hopefully, um, I think, we can get it down in that range. It's very reasonable to ask that, I think. And so we'll see. I'm hopeful, and it's certainly exciting, and I hope we get to see a whole lot more designs. Um, like I said, I'm really hopeful. So, um, but not to be outdone or left alone, right? We've talked a lot about um Glenn's FU, and so I wanted to bring up some recent uh man, I got way too many windows open, guys. Way too many windows. Some recent photos of the Build-A-Cade FU. Of course, we have one of the earlier prototype shots that Glenn made available. Of course, you can find all these over on the Build-A-Cade FU global fan page. But this is the kind of shell that his thing will go into on the default one, right? So you get the Build-A-Cade design, which is that more traditional arcade, kind of look with the slant on the side and the control panel. But of course, as you guys all know, he's made it so that you can um let me find right. You can put the insert in right here so that you get that Nintendo style shape, right? So you get that shape again, full size. You've got all of Glenn's controls in here, the 6 buttons, the trackballs, the volcano buttons, just spinners, everything you would need for a multicade, right? You're going to be able to play so many games on this. Of course, it comes with, I believe this is the 26-inch screen on here from Unico, which would be at an extra cost, but it comes with the 19-inch rotating screen, which auto rotates, right? When you pick the game you want, which is super cool. It's got the changing gates on the control stick. So if you need 4, 8, 16, or whatever, you can do that. It's got all this stuff. Comes with the Viper board or that you need in order to run arcade. So you can play all these games. You can download and add all your ROMs to it. Of course, that uses uh, I'm drawing a blank on the name off the top of my head, but allow you to play online play with those games where they're supported. So lots of cool things that you get for that around $1,000 price, like right out of the gate, fully working, ready to go. You just plug it in and turn it on. Like I said, you can pay extra for the screen. You can pay extra for the thing to convert it into the Nintendo cab. And of course, as I flew by here, right, he's going to offer a variety of extra control decks with his controls. So you want to play Tron? Here's your Tron control deck. These are samples, right? Other people may make these. Not sure if Glenn's going to sell these directly, and these are just samples. But here's a control deck. You got Glenn's Tron stick. You got his spinner, and now you're playing Tron. You've got the Star Wars type controls, right? So now you can play all the Star Wars games, use it for all different kinds of things like Spy Hunter and Road Blasters and all different kinds of games that use that kind of control stick. You've got, of course, the Akari, and here it is in the actual layout of Akari. So you're rocking those super sticks. You've got the spinner wheels, so you can go play off-road or super sprint or other driving games. So there's more. Like these are just the ones that I grabbed quickly. That you got the ones for Centipede with just the trackball in the middle, which of course would be any trackball game, Marble Madness, whatever. Like a whole host of really cool stuff. And of course, here's the I am on the wrong side, of course. Yeah. Whoops, grabbed the wrong thing. Let me move me over here. And so, here is the write up that they had in Old School Gamer magazine about what's included, right? It's 68.9 inches tall, 200 pounds, premium MDF with T molding, so a working coin door, right? Not just a faux, an actual working coin door, and access panel, hot swappable design, dual 8-way joysticks and volcano buttons, dual spinners, LED trackball, 4 to 8-way restrictor gates, uh, external USB ports if you want to plug in your light guns, uh, built-in game library, 4K movie playback, lots of fun stuff. And of course, here it is, like beefed up, or more, with the 26-inch edition. Of course, the monitor options are the 19-inch 5.4 BOE screen with motorized horizontal vertical rotation auto switch, the 26-inch Unico screen, which is optional. Of course, you got the Rock Chip, Viper, powerful performance for smooth gaming, seamless multiplayer network play, all online features included. So, you get a lot of with Glenn's, and again, it's going to look awesome with that Nintendo build. So there's options out there that we can all look forward to, no matter where your uh, desires or how you want your home arcade to look. You can go full size with Glenn's. You can add on the Nintendo option. You can do the stuff Joel's doing. You can wait and see what when the iconic stuff comes out, or if Basic Fun's going to do anything. I'd say you could wait to see if Arcade One Up is going to do anything, but here we are at Pac-Man's birthday, and I'm pretty sure they were planning on releasing some 45th anniversary Pac-Man, but because of tariffs and stuff, maybe they missed their opportunity, couldn't ship them in, so they just maybe called it off or are waiting. Who knows? But it seems odd that that the birthday he is here and the month came and they did nothing when we saw Namco say that they were Arcade One Up was going to do a special edition this year. So that never happened. Um, B Kirby says if Joe puts these out for 350, you'll be at about 700. I've been a carpenter construction estimator and now a general superintendent. He'll be at a decent profit margin at 350 without shipping included. Appreciate that, Jason. Of course, coming in with the $10 or the $10, the 10 memberships. Really appreciate that. I am running out of voice here. Very much appreciate that, man. You don't have to do that stuff. Really appreciate you and everything you do. Hope you had a good evening. Is Arcade One Up still a thing? We often wonder, Michael. We often wonder. As far as I'm concerned, they're probably not, but they sure think they are out at that licensing expo and celebrating their 45th anniversary of Pac-Man today. Fist of Love says, "Go where? I'm already here." So I missed a lot of the chats because I was rambling. Zero says the multicade killer. Yeah, I mean Glenn's deck for multicade fans, and I don't have a multicade, so it's going to look great. I'm interested in finally getting a real multicade that's versatile, so I'm excited about that one as well. So lots of options. 350 wood time shipping profit. I don't know. Yeah, so lots of, I don't pretend to know somebody's, you got to build your labor costs into it. You got to build in percentage of your equipment, right? Your equipment gets, as you use it, it gets run down. You have to replace it. You have to equate all that. How many things do you have to keep maintain and divide that out over the cost of production? There's a lot of stuff that goes into pricing. It's not just, hey, what do the materials cost? What does my labor cost? There's lots of stuff in there that ultimately comes down to what you're going to charge. And he's already said he's going to do a lot of other things on top of just, you're not just getting that unfinished wood kit. You're not getting that. He said it's going to come like already, I don't know if vinyl's the right word, but it's going to have the cover on it. So it comes in one of 6 colors. You can choose them, 5 or 6 colors. It's going to have the edge banding on there. So ideally, when you get it, you just, assemble it, and then you put in whatever marquee and side art you want it. You went out and got, and your monitor and your whatever, and you're up and going. So, I mean, you're going to have to do a little more work on that one to get the controls and all that stuff. But I don't think he's even decided what all is included yet. So it's very early in the process and something we should watch. I'm excited about it. Um, I think I saw lots of ones back there flying in. Yeah, tons of ones back here. So it's interesting. It's like all things, not everything is for everyone. We all like different things. That's all good. Mike's guessing around 500. I think that's probably a safe bet, and especially if it's coming covered with the vinyl and everything. I think that's you're getting in there between his time and the effort and the labor, and he's going to then install the vinyl or cover. I don't even know what it is. Like I don't know enough about it to say, but in take the time to do all that. So all you're doing is like on a Capcom cab, just putting on the little side art if you're doing a Nintendo one, and then sliding your marquee in. Even better, go to one of these guys like Glenn's partnered with that's making the digital marquees. Maybe you can figure that out if you're bringing a mini PC and stuff. So you got lots of options. That's the great thing about it. It's a DIY system. You can do what you want with that one. Not that you can't with the Lens, you can do that as well. JJ says, great show tonight. Quickly becoming one of the best in the biz. Well, I appreciate that, JJ. You don't need to say that, but I very much appreciate. I appreciate all you guys coming and watching and hanging out. Wrapping up here. So I really appreciate it. KFB says, do you know if Iconic is going to show the cab or at least do some kind of interview to answer some questions before the October release? I believe what's been stated in the most recent announcement that was posted to their Facebook group, I think it's in, is that yes, they have more info coming soon on the UI and stuff, the new design changes and things like that. So when, I have no idea, but they did say that is coming soon. So what is soon? I don't know. Um, you know, Hopefully here in the next few weeks we get some more info. I know everybody's chomping at the bit to see what the final design looks like and what the UI looks like. I know I am. Um, so wish we had more info, but we don't. So it's a waiting game at this point. But um, I would imagine, based on kind of what they said about temporarily holding pre-orders, which finally I think stopped the other day, a couple days ago, they finally stopped taking pre-orders. Even a few days after they announced it. I would imagine before they reopen pre-orders at whatever new price, they're going to have to show the new designs. Um, Otherwise, it wouldn't make much sense. Yep, Geo, 1 hour flies by. And then Dane Bramage says, thanks for everything you do for us. Well, thanks for dropping by. And, appreciate the super chat, really do. I'm probably going to go ahead and wrap things up here, and hopefully not a Midwest wrap up where we're talking for another 30 minutes. But again, I appreciate everybody being here tonight. I hope you had fun with the action figures, as much fun as I had making them, because it was a blast. I really enjoyed doing it. I have some other fun things I've put together and stuff that I may or may not post on either in my posts on YouTube, which you can, if you're subscribed there, you'll see those posts, or you can find them on my Instagram channel. I put a lot of my toy shorts and some of these AI pictures and stuff that I do out there, so you can check those out if you want to see that content. They're generally going to be different than what I put on YouTube most of the time. So check that out. Again, thanks everybody for being here. Hope you have a great Memorial Day weekend if you are in the US. It's a big 3-day weekend, of course. And remember, those who served, those who gave all, because this is their time. It's not just about barbecues and 3-day weekends. It's about those who sacrificed for our freedoms to buy arcade one up, or not arcade one up, just home arcade stuff. Jesus, what a slip there. To buy these products, video games, toys, all the things we love. It's people sacrifice a lot to go do that. And so think about them this weekend when you're out there grilling or when you're playing your video games. God, I got to go get back to Claire Obscure sometime, get some more time in there. That is a long game and I don't have enough free time. So thanks again. Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful night. And if you're around in VR, hopefully we're playing some walkabout golf tonight, and I will see you there. Until next time, have fun.